It's me or everything seems more expensive now. The last thing I want is credit card debt. Enter the Chime Credit Builder card. This is a secured card with no annual fees, and you can build credit with money you set aside and avoid interest or expensive debt. Plus, you can get access to MyPay and get up to $500 of your pay before payday with no mandatory fees. Start building credit with your everyday purchases and regular on-time payments, all with no annual fees, interest, or credit check at chime.com/ratchet. There are countless benefits to having better credit, including family vacations or unexpected expenses or lower rates on loans, like for a car or for a home. I love Chime Credit Builder card because of the access. With this card, you get access to 50,000 fee-free ATMs, which is more than the top three national banks combined. And you can easily find one near you with the Chime app. Turn your everyday purchases into steps toward your financial goals with Chime's secure credit card. Get started today at chime.com/ratchet. That's chime.com/ratchet. Chime feels like progress. The Chime Credit Builder Visa Credit Card is issued by the Bancorp Bank North America or Stride Bank North America. Spot me eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Out-of-network ATM withdrawal and OTC advance fees may apply. Late payment may negatively impact your credit score. Results may vary. MyPay eligibility requirements apply. Credit limits range $20 to $500. Go to chime.com/disclosures for details. I'm going to let you in on a secret. I've always wanted to be a poet. So I was excited to see Amanda Gorman has a class all about it on Masterclass. With Masterclass, you can learn from the best to become your best. Masterclass is the only streaming platform where you can learn and grow with over 200 of the world's best. For just $10 a month, billed annually, a membership with Masterclass gets you unlimited access to every instructor. And you can access Masterclass on your phone, computer, smart TV, or even audio mode. I'm currently taking Amanda Gorman's class to learn the fundamentals of poetry, but there's so much more. You can bring your dream home to life on any budget with Joanna Gaines. Improve your physical and mental well-being with leading gut and brain health experts. And turn your passion into achievements with cultural icon Martha Stewart. And the classes really make a difference. 88% of members feel that Masterclass has made a positive impact on their lives. I've been taking Masterclass for years. Before I could afford to go to TV classes, I learned the fundamentals of TV writing from Masterclass. Every new Masterclass membership comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So don't wait another moment to start your learning journey with Masterclass. Right now, our listeners get an additional 15% off any annual membership at masterclass.com/ratchet. That's 15% off at masterclass.com/ratchet. Masterclass.com/ratchet.
Love, exciting and new.
Hello, Hannah Waddingham here. Have you seen the fabulous new Sun Princess? World-class entertainment, exceptional dining, and the greatest pizza ever.
It's a love.
Don't miss our Come Aboard sale with up to 40% off and free room upgrades. Visit princess.com or call your travel advisor to book. Princess Cruises. Terms and restrictions apply. Offer ends 2/28/25. Ships of Bermudan and British Registry.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and those who don't identify as either, everyone is crashing out. You are listening to Ratchet and Respectable. Last episode, we talked about Joy Reid being let go from MSNBC. She did her final episode of the readout for MSNBC last night. She was more decorum, more grace, and more professionalism than MSNBC deserved. Thank you for everything, Joy. We'll see you on the next part of your journey. Not goodbye, but until we meet again. Her colleagues, surprising to me, to be quite honest with you, or her former colleagues, have spoken up. Remember Keith, was it Keith Olbermann? Is that his name? Olbermann with an L. Where am I reading this on? Let's read it on the Daily Beast. Keith Olbermann, former MSNBC anchor, said of MSNBC, he said they didn't even try to hide the racism by firing Joy. There were also several other hosts, in addition to Joy, who were let go. All of them were non-white. Keith Olbermann tweeted, he said 5 different anchors of color dismissed, canceled, and MSNBC purged so brutally racist, it makes you think it was done by Musk. Oh dear. In slight fairness to MSNBC, there are still black faces on the network. Michael Steele is still there. Simone Sanders Towson is there. Alicia Menendez is there. There are still people of color, but a lot of people of color did just lose their good jobs. Olbermann continued, he said, I will profusely apologize to anybody at MSNBC who stands up in defense of Joy Reid and says this stinks, this makes us white. This is contributing to the entirety of the Trump racism enveloping this country. He tweeted at several of the MSNBC hosts, including Rachel Maddow, to fight for Joy Reid. So he tweeted to Rachel, and I really do love Rachel. Me and my mama both love Rachel. Dear Maddow, if you go on the air tonight, or at minimum, go on without condemning the overt racism of the people who give you $25 million a year, you are complicit. Same for you, Lawrence, as in O'Donnell, and then also Chris Hayes. He says, protest or you are all Joe Scarborough. Rachel Maddow did indeed, on her show, address Joy Reid's firing. And I watched this when she said it. She got choked up at different points. She said, in all the jobs I have had, in all the years I have been alive, there is no colleague for whom I have had more affection and more respect than Joy Reid. I do not want to lose her as a colleague here at MSNBC. And personally, I think it's a bad mistake to let her walk out the door. Olbermann wasn't done. He's doubling and tripling down about Joy Reid's firing being racist, which I don't disagree with. Let me be clear. I agree. I think it's racist. Keith Olbermann continued. He says, of course, MSNBC's firing of Joy Reid was racist. They've only had 4 women of color host their own shows. They've now fired them all. Well, there's that. Joy will be okay. I imagine she'll get a book deal. We have not seen the last of Joy Reid. It's just so unfortunate. I was about to say played out, but no, intentionally, willfully, purposefully done. It wasn't an accident. It didn't just happen. It was a choice, and it was a bad choice. So I told you all that to tell you about this crash out. So Joy is out. Megyn Kelly, she says so much crazy shit. She was infamously fired from NBC for making comments about blackface as a costume. She didn't see any problems with blackface. She's done a whole bunch of other shit, but that's like the high profile part. So Joy Reid gets let go, and Megyn Kelly's response is, I'm reading this on the New York Post. She tweeted, remember when Joy Reid laughingly mocked white women's tears as pathetic and offensive to her? Who's crying now, Joy? Good riddance to the absolute worst person on television, and shame on NBC for letting it go on this long. Tell me you're still bitter about being fired without telling me you're still bitter about being fired. So, Don Lemon, the Don, we might need to put an MF on his name. Let's think about that. Don Lemon and Joy Reid are really, really, really good friends. Don Lemon has a podcast. I watch it on YouTube sometimes. Don is a good time. Don did an episode about Joy being out at NBC, and he started it off by saying when he got let go from CNN, 2 people really came and stood tall with him. And one of them is his dear, dear friend, Joy Reid, who always looks out for him, who always takes good care of him, and was incredibly supportive of him during that time. So Don Lemon had some choice words for Megyn Kelly, who was very rude about Joy Reid's firing. Don Lemon's choice of words were go fuck yourself. I saw the video and I was like, is this like a deep fake AI? I mean, we know Don don't give no fucks. He been fuck free for a really long time. Like he put bass in his voice and everything. Then took like a big sip of coffee. And if you zoomed in on the cut from a mug that said Megyn Kelly today from when she got fired, he took a long sip of coffee, maybe white tears. Maybe that's what's keeping Don looking so supple these days because he looks beautiful. He said he'd been a journalist for 30 years. He said he'd been alive for 50. I had to go look it up because Don looks good. Don is 58 human years old. And I was like, nigga, I know a vampire when I see one. You're a vampire, Don. Don Lemon don't look no parts of 58. But look, him not having any fucks to give and Don Lemon being free from the constraints of CNN, they were holding that man back. And we have to remember, Don got let go from CNN, but he still got his contract paid out. Didn't Don get something like, I'm looking it up right now. They were saying at the time, I'm reading this on people.com. That's reliable news. Does anybody else have it? The Wrap has it. New York Post has it. The Hill has it. All reliable news sites. They were saying CNN paid out Don Lemon 24.5. The 0.5 is important. Don't take nothing from Don. That's extra 500,000. According to reports, they paid Don Lemon 24.5 million with an M. American USD dollars and dineros. So Don Lemon sitting his wealthy ass up in somebody's studio. It might be in the house. He might just be walking from one side of the house to the other. He not even leaving. Talking big shit that he could back up. I love it. I love this for Don Lemon. Some people going to be mad about what I'm about to say. And look, we talked about ASAP last week too. ASAP Rocky, not to be confused with the other ASAPs, because there's a lot of ASAPs. Don Lemon and ASAP Rocky are a testament of why we shouldn't just, cancel everybody. Sometimes we need to, maybe put folks aside, but not fully cancel them and let them walk on their journey and get to where they need to be. Because Don Lemon now ain't who Don Lemon used to be. We don't need to go into that. He's grown, I've grown. We don't need to dwell on the past. But if you're from the North and you remember, like Don Lemon, this fuck-free Don Lemon is not the Don Lemon of like 2007, 2008. Don has been on a journey. Jesus has walked with him. Don went the fuck off. I just posted the first part of it on my page where he went off on Megyn Kelly, but Don went off for a good 90 minutes. He had a lot to get off his chest about being black in America. It's a good listen. Speaking of people who give no fucks, what's my little friend name? Mind you, I don't know this woman. Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett. Some interviewer caught up with her in D.C. So they said, if you could speak directly to Elon Musk, what is the message you would give for him? And she turned around, she flipped her hair. She liked to put an extra little half bundle in. She liked a lot of hair. She liked a dramatic look. She flipped that hair. She said, fuck off. People are tired. It's been 35 days. People are tired. I don't know how we're going to make it a full 4 years. Tired. People just crashing out left and right. Michael Steele was on MSNBC last week. It took everything in that man's black power not to call the president of the United States a motherfucker on live TV. You could see him struggling to hold it back. He was searching for another word he could use. I think he finally settled on individual, but motherfucker was on the tip of his tongue. Keep your job, black man. Keep your job. People are tired. I'm here for this crashing out because people have been acting like dignified and, we're going to get the courts and we're going to do that. And do that. There's a time and a place for that too. But there's also a time to call a spade, or a motherfucker, a motherfucker. There's time for this. We are at that time. All this like pleasantries, like we're dealing with fascists and Nazis and bigots and racists who are trying to, I have thought forever that MAGA was trying to like take us back to like the 1950s. And then I saw some interview with Trump. He was talking about the golden age of the Industrial Revolution. Let's go back to 1898. And I was like, nigga, you trying to go back to the 19th century? You want to go back to the 1800s? No. Kamala said, we're not going back. We're not going back. I saw her speech at the NAACP Awards. She was honored, was it the Chairman's Award? There was talk about her possibly running for governor of California for people who thought she was staying in politics. I watched that speech. I think she's going to run for president again. Couple things. One, she's still dressing all covered up. She's still giving presidential. She's not giving the demeanor or the wardrobe of someone who is relaxed and retired and moving on to the next thing. She's been chilling for a minute, which she should. She deserves rest. Lord knows she deserves rest. I think her heart is still in it, which if she wanted to lay down forever with a blanket over her head, I would understand that too. If she want to, get up and box, whatever Kamala wants to do, I am in support of. So one, her outfit and her demeanor. And then also her speech cadence changed. If you listen to the speeches that she was giving when she was running for office, and then you listen to her awards acceptance speech at the NAACP, she's enunciating differently. She's in words, but also in the way she like structures a sentence. Maybe she doesn't have the same speech writers. That's possible. But her whole demeanor is different to me. But I specifically picked up on the way that she delivered her speech. And I was like, oh, she's not out the game yet. Which good for her. I'm with her. Yeah. Did anybody else crash out recently? I feel like somebody else did, and I can't remember. I've been wearing Honey Love products for years. They recently launched the Cross Flex bra. It's designed to support you all day in and out of your workout routine. I love it. Honey Love bras are supportive and wire-free thanks to bonding technology that lifts without underwire. I know that I deserve a bra that's lightweight and comfortable without sacrificing support. That's why I wear Honey Love. Honey Love also has amazing shapewear that is designed to move with you. So say goodbye to pesky shapewear that rolls down as soon as you hit the dance floor. Not with Honey Love. Honey Love shapewear uses targeted compression to enhance your curves instead of squeezing them. It's designed to work with your body, not against it. And one of the things that I absolutely love, there are many, Honey Love shapewear is just as easy to get off as it is to get on. And it's made with a convenient opening in the panty area for super easy bathroom trips. Treat yourself to the best bras and shapewear on the market. Save 20% off Honey Love at honeylove.com/ratchet. Use our exclusive link to get 20% off. honeylove.com/ratchet to find your perfect fit. After you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Elevate your comfort, elevate your style with Honey Love. I'm going to let you in on a secret. I've always wanted to be a poet. So I was excited to see Amanda Gorman has a class all about it on Masterclass. With Masterclass, you can learn from the best to become your best. Masterclass is the only streaming platform where you can learn and grow with over 200 of the world's best. For just $10 a month billed annually, a membership with Masterclass gets you unlimited access to every instructor. And you can access Masterclass on your phone, computer, smart TV, or even audio mode. I'm currently taking Amanda Gorman's class to learn the fundamentals of poetry, but there's so much more. You can bring your dream home to life on any budget with Joanna Gaines. Improve your physical and mental well-being with leading gut and brain health experts. And turn your passion into achievements with cultural icon Martha Stewart. And the classes really make a difference. 88% of members feel that Masterclass has made a positive impact on their lives. I've been taking Masterclass for years. Before I could afford to go to TV classes, I learned the fundamentals of TV writing from Masterclass. Every new Masterclass membership comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So don't wait another moment to start your learning journey with Masterclass. Right now, our listeners get an additional 15% off any annual membership at masterclass.com/ratchet. That's 15% off at masterclass.com/ratchet. Masterclass.com/ratchet. What else do I want to talk about? Oh, Paradise on Hulu. I think I've mentioned this prior that Paradise is the best show on TV right now. I literally stay up until midnight on Tuesdays in order to watch the next episode as soon as it comes out. Last night was no different. Waited till midnight, literally refreshed the page, started watching. It was one of the best hours of quote and unquote TV I have seen on screens in a very long time. Remember how I used to be addicted to, oh, what's that show with Idris Elba when he was on the plane? Hijack. I was addicted to Hijack, and I would go on and on and on about what an amazing show that is. It is an amazing show. Where is season 2 of Hijack, though? Like, I feel like it should be coming soon. Not the point. Paradise is, dare I say, even better than Hijack. I was comparing it to Hijack and saying it was on par. Last night's episode took it out of the stratosphere. I watched last night's episode 3 times in a row because it was just that great. I finished, I started over, which I kind of do on a regular basis because it's one of those shows you got to absorb a lot of information very quickly. You definitely have to watch that episode twice because the beginning ties into the end. But man, and I don't want to tell you what's going on because it would give too much away. Sterling K. Brown, the whole cast really. Whoever was in casting needs a raise. Because like everybody, even like the little bit parts, everybody is coming with their A game. Sterling K. Brown's performance last night, I loved him in This Is Us. I think his best work to me was him playing Christopher Darden in the OJ story. And that's before we really knew who he was. That's before I think he was on This Is Us. Oh, he was also good in, what was the movie about the writer? He played like the gay brother. Oh, what was the name of that movie? I'm going to IMDb. I'm not overthinking this. American Fiction. That was a really good movie. His role in American Fiction was good too. It was very anti-Randall. This show is, he's so many things in this show. There's Randall tendencies in that he's a loving father, but he's also like Bruce Willis in Die Hard. It's a lot. It's amazing, amazing TV. So I was ranting about it this morning. One of my good friends hit me, Helena Andrews, and she was like, yeah, I just interviewed him for the Washington Post. Of course you did. There's some interesting tidbits in the article. He talks about the episode that aired last night. I'm not going to give you details on it, though, just because I don't want to ruin it for you. I want you to go in blind for this show the same way I did, so you can be like, wow, and gasp and flip out. It's worth it. He said the same day he read the script, he accepted the show. The creator of Paradise is also the creator of This Is Us. Obviously, he and Sterling work well together. Sterling K. Brown said he read the script for the pilot and he wanted to know what happened next. So he thought it was a good idea to be part of the show. He said his friends tease him. I can't tell you this part of it. His barber, whoever the barber is for the show, is doing the Lord's work. Sterling K. Brown got a fresh shape up with 360 waves in every episode. There is 100% a black barber with a do-rag on set. If you're going to hire black people, the black people got to look right. I'm saying. And do. I don't want to read you the whole thing because it gives away a whole bunch of plot points, especially for the most recent episode. And it just came out at midnight today. I understand folks got jobs, responsibilities. Everybody can't stay up till midnight and watch a TV show 3 times in a row. Sterling K. Brown is black as fuck. Like, he's in the article talking about you ain't have to kill that white boy. Like, sir, do you realize you are speaking free like this to the Washington Post? I mean, I know the person you're interviewing with is a black woman, but sir, he's speaking free like we at the cookout. Oh, this is so interesting. But you got to watch the show. I don't want to spoil it for you. Watch the most recent episode of Paradise, episode 7. I mean, watch everything leading up to it so it has the proper impact. Watch episode 7 and then go check out this piece on the Washington Post. Just go to the site and Google Sterling K. Brown, and it should be the first or second thing that comes up. Oh, he's so freaking funny. And this show is so freaking good. Do we have anything else that's urgent to talk about? I think I put things in my phone. Let me look real quick. Don Lemon goes off. Yes, NAACP Awards. Still ain't watched the whole thing. May not get around to it anytime soon. Oh, federal workers. I have them listed as a bullet point. When I made that list, it was last night. This morning, 20 federal workers quit. I screenshotted it. Hold on. Yeah, on HuffPost, Doge staffers resign after being asked to dismantle critical public services. Let's see if I can find an article that explains that a little better. 21 civil service employees resigned en masse from Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency. They submitted a joint resignation letter that was addressed to White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles. They said they refused to use their technical expertise to, quote, compromise core government systems, jeopardize American sensitive data, or dismantle critical public services. They continue, quote, we swore to serve the American people and uphold our oath to the Constitution across presidential administrations. However, it has become clear that we can no longer honor those commitments at the United States Doge Service. It says a person familiar with the letter confirmed its authenticity to NBC News. The staffers did not sign their names. They only listed their job titles, including engineer, project manager, and designer. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Late last week, federal workers got an email. It looked like a scam telling them that they had to respond with what they accomplished over the last week. And I was like, I never even had to do that as an intern. Like, what? But the federal workers have just been under assault. Everything from like emails telling them to like resign now, but they'll get paid until like October, to which everyone was like, the budget is not even set to pay people until October. Like a new budget gets set, I think, in March. Like you're telling people you'll pay them to October, but like with what authority? Then there's a question of like how much responsibility Doge has. Is it a real government agency? Because I don't, to my knowledge, you can't just like create a government agency out of nowhere. The mass firings of federal workers, I feel like every day we wake up and there's like another 1,000 some odd people who are being abruptly let go from their jobs, and they're telling them that it's with cause so they can't get unemployment. What was my favorite? Basically, like, resign from this job and go do like work that matters or honorable work in the private sector. Like, basically telling them their jobs are unimportant or irrelevant. It's so crazy. Mom is a career civil servant. She worked the same job at a federal agency for most of my life. She's retired now. My mama being civil service, and then, a lot of our friends and neighbors, it's DC. I mean, damn near everybody works for the federal government in some capacity. Like, even if you're corporate, your job is often tied to politics in some way. Could be self-employed, but you got a government contract. This assault on federal workers, y'all have my deepest sympathies. Folks get up and go to work every day. It's honest work. It ain't the greatest pay. Anybody will tell you they could make a whole lot more working in corporate. Many federal government jobs are filled with people who, complain about their job like everybody else. I mean, everybody complains about their job, self included. But they find purpose in what they do. They find purpose in helping. They find purpose in performing a job. Otherwise, they would leave and go do something else. The benefits are good, don't get me wrong, but everybody will tell you that they're underpaid and could make more in private sector. And yet they stay, nevertheless. Their jobs are important, and they deserve better than how they're being treated in this moment. I hope y'all get yourselves together, organize a great class action suit, and sue the fuck out of the federal government. It's me, or everything seems more expensive now. The last thing I want is credit card debt. Enter the Chime Credit Builder card. This is a secured card with no annual fees, and you can build credit with money you set aside and avoid interest or expensive debt. Plus, you can get access to MyPay and get up to $500 of your pay before payday with no mandatory fees. Start building credit with your everyday purchases and regular on-time payments, all with no annual fees, interest, or credit check at chime.com/ratchet. There are countless benefits to having better credit, including family vacations or unexpected expenses or lower rates on loans, like for a car or for a home. I love Chime Credit Builder card because of the access. With this card, you get access to 50,000 fee-free ATMs, which is more than the top 3 national banks combined. And you can easily find one near you with the Chime app. Turn your everyday purchases into steps toward your financial goals with Chime's secure credit card. Get started today at chime.com/ratchet. That's chime.com/ratchet. Chime feels like progress. The Chime Credit Builder Visa Credit Card is issued by the Bancorp Bank North America or Stride Bank North America. Spot me eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Out-of-network ATM withdrawal and OTC advance fees may apply. Late payment may negatively impact your credit score. Results may vary. MyPay eligibility requirements apply. Credit limits range $20 to $500. Go to chime.com/disclosures for details.
Este episodio es presentado por Honda. Descubra la nueva Honda Passport Trail Sport Todoterreno, la Passport más todoterreno que Honda haya imaginado jamás. Esta Passport cuenta con mayor altura al suelo, barras de techo en todas sus versiones y neumáticas especialmente diseñados para cualquier terreno. Además, disfruta todos tus viajes con el control de clima de 3 zonas, techo panorámico y opciones como asientos delanteros con calefacción y ventilación. Conoce más en honda.com/passport.
We have a treat this week. I woke up this morning, I was scrolling online, and I saw an announcement about a new documentary on HBO Max. Is it HBO Max? Just Max. whatever. You know what I'm talking about. Eyes on the Prize 3. Like Eyes on the Prize 1 and 2, except updated. The last Eyes on the Prize was like in 1990, but they're back to talk about 1977 to, I think, 2015. I'd heard this project was in the works maybe like 6 months ago, a year ago, but I heard nothing else about it. And honestly, it had dropped off my radar completely. But I was scrolling this morning and I saw a trailer for it and it was on my friend's page. And you know, like I post movies and TV stuff, like reviews. And I was like, is she just posting this to just be like, oh, there's this new thing I've been watching on TV? Or like, this you, sis. We used to work at Essence together a zillion years ago. She was the assistant for the department that I worked in. And our department literally consisted of like me, my boss, and her. Assistant was just the job title. You know how we talk about Blue Ivy managing Jay-Z and Beyonce and like where would they be without her? That was Naima's role for me and my boss. I am forever indebted, forever grateful for her. I say all that to say, this is my baby. I mean, she a grown-ass lady with like master's degrees and awards and, you know, still running shit. But my baby just produced 2 episodes of Eyes on the Prize. So, you know, when I was scrolling on Instagram and I was like, this you? It's her. She a whole producer doing documentaries and things on the TV. I told you I accepted the auntie shit. Once I leaned in, it's now full throttle. But she was in New York and I asked her to come on the show and she said, I got a plane to catch it too. Can we do it like now? Yeah, we can. And did. Let me read her proper bio. Niema Jordan is a writer, TEDx speaker, and an award-winning filmmaker from Oakland, California. She has a passion for character-driven stories and harnessing the power of media for positive community impact. Early in her career, Niema navigated the New York media landscape and got her start at Essence magazine. She later returned home, that would be Oakland, to pursue graduate degrees in journalism and public health. Her work has been published in Ebony and Glamour. Her production credits include Oasis, The Chosen Life, Bobby Kennedy for President, The Me You Can't See, Eyes on the Prize, Hallowed Ground, and Bree Way, Promise, Witness, Remembrance. She is also a producer on HBO's Eyes on the Prize 3, We Who Believe in Freedom. Niema is co-director of Cinemama and serves on the board of Oakland Kids First. She is a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated and an alum of Northwestern University and UC Berkeley. Please welcome the very accomplished Niema Jordan to Ratchet and Respectable. Niema Jordan, I am so excited to have you on Ratchet and Respectable. I can't believe you haven't been on Ratchet and Respectable yet.
Oh my God. I was just thinking about that. I was like, I get to be on the show. I get to be on the show.
I feel like there actually would be no Ratchet and Respectable without you. I owe you a huge thank you. I am so indebted to you for everything that you did when we were together at Essence. And then, like, I feel like you were there for the foundational years when I was all over the place and you were the calm, level head that, like, never went crazy in a crisis when I was, like, losing it.
Oh my God. Dee, that's so wild to hear you say because I'm always like, and then, you know, when I was at Essence with Demetria, this is where I learned how to do this. And this is how I learned how to be on set. And like, there's just like all of these different pieces. And so I feel like I owe so much to you. So for you to say that, I'm just like, all right, don't make me cry on this here morning.
I mean, I'm about to cry. I didn't mean for it to come out. Like, I wasn't planning to do this interview. I didn't know that you were part of Eyes on the Prize 3. Like, I'd seen advertisements for it. And then, like, when you posted today, like, that's why I was like, yo, is that you, sis? And then Tambisa at first was like, yes, that's her, sis. I was like, oh, wait.
Yes, yes. It's so funny because I almost didn't post it because, you know, like I'm on the East Coast right now and my folks are on West Coast. And I was like, well, maybe I'll wait because they're not going to see it this early in the morning. And then I was like, let's just post it before, you know, the day gets away from you. And then bam, I saw your message. So I was like, okay, look at that divine timing.
Yeah, like I was just randomly scrolling and I realized today I hadn't seen your post in forever. Like, I hate what Instagram does. I'm like, just show me my ish from my people in the order that they post it. Like, I miss so much because of the way it's set up.
Yeah, yeah. You know what's
But you've
wild
been
too?
posting about this.
Yeah, so I recently started posting. I took a long social media break because, you know, the world is on fire and whatnot. But I came back on a couple of weeks ago because I was like, okay, I got a show coming out. And if I'm not posting regularly, they're not going to show my stuff on the day it come out.
Well, it worked. Today it worked. Like your theory actually worked.
Yes, yes. So
Yes.
I'm excited. It's out there in the world. Eyes on the Prize 3 on HBO Max, which is a long time coming.
So tell me about the project, and then I'll get into like how it all came together. I mean, I kind of know Eyes on the Prize. It's a, it's a pretty popular brand, especially in Black households. We have the VHS tape somewhere,
Hmm.
but like the last one was in the 90s. And then like, this one came out today. We're 35 years later.
It's a wild thing. So, Eyes on the Prize 3, We Who Believe in Freedom Cannot Rest, covers the Reagan era to the Obama era in 6 hours. So, wild to try to fit that much time into a space, right? But that's what we did. So, six different directors, six different episodes. I'm the producer on episode 5 and 6. Series was executive produced by Don Porter. Just a really great team that came together, and a lot to really grapple with, a lot to figure out in terms of how do we tell stories that maybe haven't been told before, and also stick to the tradition of the Eyes on the Prize type storytelling, right? Telling the stories of the people who were actually there and on the ground and doing the work. So that's the series. It's out, and
Today. It came out today.
it came out today. It is out today. It is streaming.
Congratulations. How did you get tied into the project?
The the short way of it is that I've been working with Don Porter for years, since 2016 on various projects. And so this project came about, and I was one of the producers that she pulled in. I think the longer story there is I studied documentary film at UC Berkeley under John Else and Orlando Bagwell, who were a part of the original I series. And they connected me to Dawn Porter when I was graduating from when I was finishing grad school. So there's this long sort of trajectory there in terms of coming into the I's fold.
When did you finish grad school?
2016.
I remember we're gonna do this the whole episode. I remember like the day you moved back to Oakland when you left and you were like, I'm gonna do this, but like I'll be back. And I was like, don't get stuck on the West because what are you gonna do on the West Coast? And like you've done everything on the West Coast.
Listen, so many people were like, Naima, you can't stay at home in Oakland, right? And I was like, watch me.
You did. You were like, I'll be fine. It's gonna be fine. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so worried. And like,
Yeah, I mean, it's working out. It's working out.
it's beyond worked out. Beyond. It's something that struck me watching just the trailer on your Instagram this morning is how like we kind of think of the civil rights movement as this period in like the 1960s to like the early 70s maybe. And like the civil rights movement never really really never stopped.
Mhm, mhm.
It just keeps going and going and going throughout different eras. So can you speak to that like the ongoing activism that maybe isn't thought of as civil rights but is nonetheless like that?
It's so interesting that you say that because I think that was so much of the framing of this series, right? There was all of this talk in 2020. George Floyd is murdered, Breonna Taylor is murdered. There's this outcry in the streets, and there are people who are literally saying, D, like, no lie, they're like, oh, we haven't had any movement since the civil rights movement. And I'm like, what are y'all talking about? Like, there are people doing actual work in terms of civil rights, in terms of human rights every single day. And I think that there's a way that we see the civil rights movement and then a way that we don't see everyday work that's happening. And so I think that was very much a part of how we brought things together for this series was saying like, what are the stories you don't know? What are the type of work that is being done on the ground that is not highlighted? Who are the everyday community activists who are doing things that really lay the groundwork? And I think it does a few things, which is one, it highlights those stories, but it also tells people that you have the power to do things on your own and in your own community that has significance. And I think, when we talk about the Eyes on the Prize series, it is such a staple for folks, and the names and the stories that are highlighted in the original series, in Eyes on the Prize 1 and in Eyes on the Prize 2 are names that we know. But when the series were being made, They were retrospectives that were about people who did work who maybe weren't famous, right? Or weren't household names at the time. And so really sticking in that tradition as well is a part of the work that we try to do with the series.
Yeah, I love the unnamed heroes that you give name to in the documentary. I not even I think that's how the work gets done, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, 'cause you do this. But like I've just been finishing this book King by Jonathan Ayig, and I have, the audience reading it for the official book club pick of our unofficial book club. You know, I have commitment issues to things. But you think about like the March on Washington, it's become this legendary event because 100,000 people showed up and you don't know the names of most of those people. You really just know the names of the people on stage. If it's only like the leadership shows up, then it's not really a march. It's a few people taking a stroll. But if you've got like thousands of people with you whose names you don't know, then it becomes an event. Then it's thought of as like this big act of resistance. But most of those people like don't ever get a story. You don't know their names. You don't know their backstory. You don't know I don't know, everything about them. And I love that Eyes on the Prize goes and like, okay, you were there. So what actually happened?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That what actually happened is so key because you're gonna hear things that you wouldn't necessarily hear from the experts. You're gonna also get the record set straight on a few things as well because of how narratives perpetuate. And then also I think there's this really important space of unearthing archive that happens in documentary film because you have your clips that get seen over and over again that people know, but there's also like folks' home videos that have never been digitized. There are pieces from news stations that have never been digitized. It's not until you go in and you request and you resurface those stories that then that information becomes accessible to so many more people.
What was your process for pulling all this stuff together? Like how many interviews or how many like hours spent in, I don't know, months or years spent making this documentary?
Oh my gosh.
Hmm.
So many years. We wrapped on the Eyes on the Prize 3 series in 2023. So just to say that like there were 2 years of production, and before that 2 years of production there were like almost a decade of trying to secure the rights in order to create a new Eyes on the Prize series, right? So there's all of that work that goes into us being able to actually make the series. And then you have hours and hours of each team doing tons of research interviews first, and then going from those research interviews into actually flying around the country and interviewing folks, and then figuring out how these stories all come together. And again, there's so much that's happening that ultimately there's a lot that you leave out, which hurts, because you're like, I really want to share these stories, but it's literally hundreds of hours of work that goes into it and then gets distilled down into 6 hours that's going to stream.
That's the thing that always like drives me nuts. There's so much more,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's like, 600 pages or even if it's 6 hours. I imagine just based on what you've done already, you could probably do an Eyes on the Prize 4 relatively easily.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's so much that wasn't told. And also, the series only goes up until 2015, right? And so,
You got a wild ride after that. Jesus.
yeah. And so, when you think about that, there's so much that wasn't covered. And it was really important for us to have the space to look back because when you're so close to something in terms of time, there's a perspective that you don't necessarily have. What we said about 2020 and 2021 and 2022 is very different than what we would say about 2020 and 2025. So thinking about perspective, that's also a part of it.
This season, a new hot deal has arrived at Metro. $25 a line for 4 lines with all the data you need and 4 free Samsung Galaxy A15 5G phones. Getting Metro's best deals is easy. No ID required, no activation fees. Get a new number or keep your own. It's up to you. That's 4 lines for $25 a line, plus 4 free phones. Visit a store or go online today. Only at Metro by T-Mobile.
When you join Metro Plus Tax, for a limited time and subject to change. Max 1 offer per account.
What surprised you when you were doing the documentary? Was there anything that you learned and you were like, wait, what?
Oh my gosh, so much. In episode 5, we deal with education and we talk about affirmative action and we talk about different work that was done around segregation, right? And desegregation of schools. And you're like, wait, well, how are we talking about desegregation of schools in 2000 and 2003? Like, what's happening, right? With affirmative action, there was a huge march on Washington in support of affirmative action. And there's all these signs that are like, support affirmative action, don't kill Brown v. Board. It's all of this activism that was around the space, and busloads of people came in from all over the country. And one, I didn't know that. Two, I couldn't find articles readily about this moment where apparently thousands of people were marching to save affirmative action. And then when we started to reach out to news stations, a lot of stations hadn't archived it. They were like, oh, yeah, we had cameras there, but we don't have the footage from it anymore. And I was like, how does that happen? Like, who is deciding that this is worth archiving and this isn't worth archiving? And so I think that the space of like knowing these different events happened and then also finding out that they weren't archived, I think was really, really surprising for me. I think the other thing that I don't know if it's necessarily super surprising, but it's just like you see how pieces all fit together. Thinking about getting into episode 6 and a lot of folks who were activists on the ground, maybe in Chicago or in Florida, who we know in different capacities now, and seeing them on screen. Like there's a moment where BYP 100, which is an organization that started in Chicago, they are releasing a statement about Trayvon Martin, and you see Lovey Ajayi there as like as a young person really like speaking up, and you're like, oh wait, okay, so she's been a troublemaker forever, right? Like you see these things. And so I think that putting those pieces together during the making of the film was really cool.
I feel like I need to go back and watch 1 and then watch 2 and then watch 3. Like it's a trilogy. It is a trilogy. So William Barber, or Reverend William Barber,
Yeah.
from the Poor People's Campaign is all over the current trailer.
Yes.
And I was like, wait, wasn't he in like the second one?
Listen.
So the same people been doing the same stuff like all these years.
Yes. Because that's the thing, D. It's like the work does not stop. And it's fascinating because I think that in some ways it can feel discouraging. And then in some ways it's like, no, this is the work that that needs to be done. And there are people who are willing to do it. And so when you see someone like Reverend Barber, who, you know, is doing work now and has done work then, you can say, well, we actually have access to the people who can give us the blueprint. We actually have a model. And in times where it feels very like, what the hell do we do now? You go back and you look at the history, and it's like, that's why books are being banned. That's why shows are being dismantled. That's why the arts are under attack, right? All of these things are happening because there's a blueprint on how to fight in those documents.
Was there ever a fear with this documentary that it wouldn't make it to air just because of the current climate? Like in a year, this will be considered contraband.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. If you think about it, we wrapped in 2023. And I think that there was certain fears around it coming out just because there are, you know, a lot of consolidations, a lot of things happening in the overall industry. You had that sort of aspect of it, right? And now with it being released, one of the first comments that we got on the trailer was, "This is DEI, ban it." And I was like, yo, this is just the trailer. Wait until y'all get into the, you know, if you are mad now, right? I'm really happy that it's out. I do worry that it won't get a lot of the attention that it deserves because folks will try to bury it. I do worry about that. And I also honestly worry about our activists who have been doing the work and who continue to do the work, because when your work is elevated like this, it's also a space for it to be attacked, right? And so I think those are very real things that we consider. And I think that the folks whose stories we've shared and who do the work in community, they do the work in community, know that they're running that risk. It's a really sobering thing to think about.
It's one of the reasons I was like, let me get her on the phone, like make sure people are watching it. I mean, for two reasons. Like one, you know this, because it's a numbers game. Like if it's popular, then more content like that gets made. And if it's unpopular, then, you know, it goes away.
Well, yeah, completely. I mean, there's an entire shift in terms of what folks are funding, because they say like people don't want to see social justice work anymore, or they're tired of it now. And that's why, you're mostly getting true crime and whatever else, because they're like, oh, people are worn out. But it's so important to continue to tell the stories and to continue to highlight them.
And also just to like document evidence of resistance. I wanted to go back to something that you were speaking about with like the news programs and not archiving, because we're having that same issue at like a national level. The current administration just fired the national archivist.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't think until you were speaking that I fully understood what exactly is at stake, who decides what gets saved and documented. You're kind of like deciding what history exists.
Yes.
Not even kind of, you are. I think a documentary like this is doubly important, triply important in this current moment. So we can document like this did happen and we did resist. It wasn't just a rollover and take it, no lube.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you have to say that because people need the example. They need to know that it can be done and that it has been done.
And by ordinary people too.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like there's a story in episode 1. I mean, there are multiple stories in episode 1, but I think about hearing about how folks in the South Bronx were taking over abandoned buildings and doing sweat equity programs and being like, no, you are not pouring what you need to pour into our community. And so we're going to take over these buildings and then we're going to own them. And each of us is going to have our own apartment. What? Like what is the cooperative economics that's happening at the time, and to know that that was a model and to know that those folks still have their property in the Bronx is like, oh, wait, there's some things that we can do here, right? Or to think about for episode 5 and 6 to be back to back and go, okay, well, you're trying to get rid of affirmative action and you're trying to do all these things around education. When you get to 6 and you see the folks who are out in the streets and you see that this is a bunch of college students who are organizing, you're like, you start to connect the dots, not just in the archival, but in the education, right? And like what happens when you know how foul everything is around you? You rise up, right? And so that's why the information needs to be buried.
Hopefully this will inspire folks. Like there's obviously tons of people on the ground, movements, resistance, but there can never be too many, especially now. I'm so exhausted with this shit.
Especially now.
It's been 35 days.
It's exhausting. That's why I tell people all the time, like, you got to take your breaks, you got to find your joy, and you got to still fight. I think that it's really, really important not to not let the system overwhelm you in a way that you don't have any fight left, because that's part of the strategy.
How did you stay, I guess, motivated or optimistic when you're consuming all of this? And even though a lot of it is about resistance, a lot of it is about people being treated really, really bad, and then they resist. Like, how did you your joy when you're like deep in the work of this and looking at so much hate and despair and horror?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I mean, I think the key for me, one, therapy, no lie. I like, for all filmmakers, I'm always like, yo, we need to have an outlet. But also just being with my friends, being in community, music, shows, moving my body, a lot of the, sort of basic things that people tell you to do, but you do have to be intentional, because I think there's a space where it's easy to not want to take a break because the story is so urgent, but then it breaks you down. A part of being able to, keep going is knowing when to and how to rest.
That theme keeps coming up over and over and over.
I think about your episode that you did with Amanda and talking about, rest. And I think about Trisha Hersey's work with the NAP ministry, right? And it's so interesting too, because the series is We Who Believe in Freedom Cannot Rest. And it, comes out of that, we who believe in freedom cannot rest until it's done. And this idea of like not resting until everyone is free. But I think that the other space of that is like, it's more about not stopping and understanding that the fight has to continue, and not about like not resting in the way that you don't take care of yourself or don't think about what community care and self-care looks like in these moments.
Which is really, really hard because, like, when you're in it, you, like, want to go full throttle 24/7. And then, you get burnt out, exhausted, or worse. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's detrimental. All of the not stopping is really hard on your mind and really hard on your body.
And your spirit.
Yes, and on your spirit, and I think that's by design.
Is there anything that I didn't ask you about the documentary that you want the listeners to know?
I mean, I could definitely go on forever about it, but I would just say that, like, definitely check out the series, share it with folks that talk about it. There's so much that's covered in here, from fights in terms of AIDS and HIV activism to the coining of the term environmental racism and the work that was being done there, to affirmative action, and then a lot of the protests and things done during the Obama administration. So we cover so much in the series. So take it in and then find where you can do work on your local level. I think, again, all of this stuff can be very overwhelming, but there's always something that you can do locally to impact what's happening nationally.
Love, love, love. Thank you, Naima. I'm so incredibly proud of you.
Thank you.
Like, you have no idea. I've known you since, like, we were both kids. I thought I was, like, a little bit more grown, but, like, we were both, like, kids.
Oh my God. Thank you so much, Dee. I really, really appreciate just being able to have this conversation. And again, all that you've contributed, overall, but to me specifically, like, forever, forever in debt. So
Oh, I love you.
I love you too. I love you too. Oh my gosh, we're doing this.
We're doing it. Okay.
Okay.
That's my baby, y'all. I'm so proud of her. So I now know what I'll be watching the rest of the week. I hope you'll be doing the same. Eyes on the Prize 3, now streaming. HBO, Max, one of those. You know what I mean. That's the episode. We'll be back on Friday. Talk soon. Bye. I'm going to let you in on a secret. I've always wanted to be a poet. So I was excited to see Amanda Gorman has a class all about it on Masterclass. With Masterclass, you can learn from the best to become your best. Masterclass is the only streaming platform where you can learn and grow with over 200 of the world's best. For just $10 a month billed annually, a membership with Masterclass gets you unlimited access to every instructor. And you can access Masterclass on your phone, computer, smart TV, or even audio mode. I'm currently taking Amanda Gorman's class to learn the fundamentals of poetry, but there's so much more. You can bring your dream home to life on any budget with Joanna Gaines. Improve your physical and mental well-being with leading gut and brain health experts. And turn your passion into achievements with cultural icon Martha Stewart. And the classes really make a difference. 88% of members feel that Masterclass has made a positive impact on their lives. I've been taking Masterclass for years. Before I could afford to go to TV classes, I learned the fundamentals of TV writing from Masterclass. Every new Masterclass membership comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So don't wait another moment to start your learning journey with Masterclass. Right now, our listeners get an additional 15% off any annual membership at masterclass.com/ratchet. That's 15% off at masterclass.com/ratchet. Masterclass.com/ratchet.